My name is Ray Fuentes. I'm the Red Shoe Broker and host of Interview with a Rockstar. Today's guest is Albert Chavez from United Wholesale Lending. How you doing, Albert?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm totally honored and excited to share some information with you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. I'm glad you joined us. On the screen real quick, we have Albert's information. Albert, we've known each other for maybe 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, I'd say that's a good number.
Yeah, it's about 4 or 5 years. And I know a little bit about you. I learned so much more over the last year, especially as you've been posting on Facebook. A couple of years ago, well, first off, there's a funny note that the viewers should know. My last name is Fuentes. Albert's last name is Chavez, and neither one of us really speak any Spanish. So
Correct.
that was a common feature that Albert and I have. But a couple of years ago, we also decided to go traveling, not together, but it was a coincidence. We both went to Europe. I stopped off in Italy, and Albert, you went to Greece.
Yes, sir.
I saw some amazing pictures. Why did you pick Greece? How did you get there?
So interesting story. So again, thanks for having me again. And
Sure.
I have stories and stories and stories, but it's just interesting how manifestation really happens. So I'm 12 years old. It's 1984. I'm sixth grade, and believe it or not, the Olympics were in Los Angeles that year, if you remember. And
Ah,
my teacher made us do an assignment about ancient Greece. And so it was actually a really beautiful, I'll say beautiful because at the time I didn't know, just a beautiful assignment because we literally had to write a report about Greece, ancient Greece. And then we had to modernize it with the Olympics. That's how it was pushed together,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so I just became fascinated with the Parthenon, with all these ancient structures, Zeus, and all these mythologies. And I vowed that one day I would go visit the first Olympic stadium. And so fast
When you were
forward,
12.
I was 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, I'll dovetail on that assignment. I was so in love with the assignment. 2 years later, my eighth grade year, I had to do the same assignment. So I pretty much did the same assignment, but I just did it as an eighth grader and I added some stuff. So it's been visualized in my mind. Like I love ancient. My favorite movie is 300. I love all these
Yeah.
movies about Spartans and Greek. So unbeknownst to me, a girlfriend at the time, we and some friends, we saw this ad come about Greece. I'm like, I want to go to Greece. So long story short, we ended up booking a 10-day trip to Greece in 2018. And it was everything that I thought it was. We visited Athens, we visited Mykonos, we visited Santorini, and my favorite island was Mykonos just because of the beauty. However, I got my fill by actually going to the Parthenon. I actually have a picture of me touching the rock, taking a picture in front of the Parthenon. So I tell people it was a dream come true. And I'm going next year again in 2021. I put it on my calendar. So I'm going to book a trip in about a month to go again.
Awesome. I love that you use the word visualize.
Yeah.
When we're younger, we dream and have all these ideas of things we want to do, and as we get older, it seems like maybe some of our dreams tend to fade away. But I'm so glad that one stuck with you, and thanks for sharing your travels with us on Facebook. Now, yesterday we were talking. It came to my attention that we talked about a year ago. It was last year, September, October. You were going through some issues in life, and I truly empathize with stuff that you were going through, but I don't want to share about what I'd like you to share what was going on, but more importantly, the changes in you over the last year.
No, I appreciate it. So this is actually a really important topic in my life. So, what I've come to grips is I'm a 48-year-old man. I've been married. I've had kids, and I feel like I've done my due diligence as a human being, a man. What happened though is what surfaced last year is I actually went through a breakup with the girlfriend, and it was a catalyst to unfolding that I had a lot of unresolved wounds, as I call them. Okay, unresolved wounds were where I spent my entire life, taking care of people, whether it's kids, wife, family. And I found myself alone. I found myself for the first time in my life. And I actually had to look in the mirror and face me, like the Albert that I knew. And so when all this stuff came to pattern, to fruition, basically I was stuck with a person who had a lot of deficit in a lot of areas. And I was confronted with either to be completely vulnerable, is to sober it with drinking. And I say that hyperbole on purpose. Or drowning my sorrows with things that could numb me, or for the first time in my life, actually, I'll say, I'm going to change this term, not man up, but I had to man in and really look at myself, because man up to me means to puff up. Like men, right. What we do is when we get aggravated, we puff up, and that's a masculine trait. What I learned, though, is that I had to man in and not puff up and not overlook the fact that I had to deal with it myself. So the journey that I decided to do is I made a commitment to myself back in November I was talking about it in September when you and I talked, but in November, I actually went out on a limb and I hired professional help. I hired a professional life coach. I decided to change my body and get in the best shape of my life. So I hired a trainer. I just surrendered to the process of being the person I wanted to be. And it has been the most fulfilling journey, but it's also been the most difficult journey because I'm actually having to confront myself and all these internal turmoils that I've made excuses for, is I'm having to shed that and actually just have some accountability in my life.
I'm just going to say that's not the whole story of what you've done. I think the most obvious part from what I've seen is your physical journey. I mean, you have physically, you've changed quite a bit.
I got shredded. Yeah, I'm a 48-year-old man. Yeah. And I've never been, when I started, there's pictures of me. And that's a big part of it. I wasn't happy the way I was look. Here's what I figured out is our body and our mind, we have our mind and we have our heart, but our body and how we look at ourselves does manifest the things that we do, right? So if you're lazy and you're not in shape and you're not doing things, you're drinking all the time, that's going to affect your ability to connect with people, your ability to perform your even daily duties. So what I did is I'm like, look, I need someone to be accountable with. That's a big thing with me. I'm saying men in general, like a lot of men I met, we're not accountable people for whatever reason. So having an accountability to someone that says, here's what you need to do. You need to drink a gallon of water a day. You need to meal prep a certain amount. You need to work out a certain amount of days, not drink alcohol. I was 27% body fat and I got down to 14 in about 90 days. And I feel great. And it's just propelled me to have this whole mentality now of just also creating a mindset that I can do more, but I have to love myself. That's a big thing, Ray. The biggest message I'll tell you is when I took inventory of myself, I never took actions to love and to nurture myself. I was always nurturing others, and that was my biggest deficit.
Right. So one of the things that's interesting that our viewers might not know is our brain doesn't know the difference between a truth and a lie. So what you were talking about in how we perceive ourselves, that's it's like the Matrix, right?
That's exactly
that you have a vision
of
yourself and that's how it is. Yeah. But you can tell your brain that I'm physically fit and I exercise every day and, all these ideas, and it will come to pass. And you're a perfect example. But you've done more than just physical growth. You have an emotional growth. You've had some huge growth in your spiritual life as well. And not necessarily religious is what I'm talking about, but in how you perceive yourself. And it wasn't just a matter of saying, oh, I'm an awesome guy. What else have you done in the last year that you think is important for us?
The number one thing I would tell you is that, again, me coming to grips with seeking professional help. I'm saying a therapist. I hired a life coach. And life coach was important to me because there were just some triggers that were happening in my life that I had to understand where they came from, and they stem from the trauma that I had as a kid. I just had tremendous trauma. Ray, I can go on and on. Like I had to do a little outline this past week, and the trauma started when I was 2 years old, like little trauma. So dealing with that doesn't go away. So to answer your question though, is I call it mind, body, and soul. Okay?
Right.
That's what I call it. I had to get my mind right. My mind right was hire someone that's going to help me navigate these trenches I was in. Body, I had to hire a personal trainer. But then I also surrendered. I actually surrendered to God. Again, many people don't understand that, but it wasn't me saying, oh my God, I can't live without it. No, I got to point of my life on my own, in my opinion. However, I just had to surrender to where there's got to be something more out there, the universe, something greater than me. And so let me just go on a limb and let me just go on this. So what I decided to do is I made a decision. Again, it was hard for me. I didn't grow up. I didn't grow up on the Bible. I didn't grow up in religion. But I just felt that I had to do something different because where I was at, I had to change something. So I just made a decision that, okay, it was very intimidating. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to open one page in the Bible and just read one page, and I'll decipher what the Cliff Notes say. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm commit to just one page, not a whole book, one page every day with my coffee. And I'm just going to ask God for, teach me what I need to know. And that's all I've done. And all it's really done for me, I'll give you one word that has changed my life. One word: gratitude. That word gratitude, I didn't know what it really meant until I read a book called The Magic, and it's part of the Secret trilogy. So for your viewers that want to know, get it. It's a great book. It changed my life because what gratitude really meant for me was taking the time to be grateful for the things that I have, not what I don't have. For example, some people are chasing money or the success or a lifestyle or a wife or a family, but we don't take accountability for and grateful for what we have now. We can't get more in life unless we're grateful for what we have now. That's the biggest lesson I've learned. So the transformation that I've made is I wake up every morning and I thank God for being alive. Thank you for letting me wake up. That's what I say every morning. And I just have gratitude of, I'm so grateful that I have this comfy bed. I'm so grateful that I have the business that I'm in. I'm so grateful that I have the people in my life who are nurturing me. I'm so grateful. So I just go down and I close my eyes. And before I wake up, open my eyes and look at my phone. I give the gratitude. And that gratitude has been the number one shift in my life.
That's awesome. We talked about body, mind, and soul, and obviously on the screen, you're a lender.
Yes.
So let me ask you, and let me back up before I ask this question. I want to say that I've always appreciated Albert. He was before I knew all of this, he was a man of integrity. One of the things as a realtor that I really like in a lender is that I need my lender to contact my clients on a regular basis and comfort them because they're panicky. And, if I'm telling them something, they're like, well, it's just Ray. But if Albert is saying, no, listen, here's what's really happening. We have two voices telling the people the same thing, and they are much more comforted in the process.
Agreed.
So Albert is an outstanding mortgage lender. How have all these processes affected your business?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ray. I will tell you. So I'll just say I'm not very proud of the man that I was at times. And I'm saying that with love because all my entire life, I've been a people pleaser, meaning kind of telling people what they want to hear. But what happens in my relationships also in business and personally, we're always superficial. Nothing never went deep. And so when I decided to make this shift in the last year, the biggest shift is not being needy. So the thing about me as a lender, I'm not needy, meaning I love to work with people, but if I used to get attached to people when they would say no, they don't want to work with me or I take that personally. The biggest thing that I've been able to do is really just take people for where they're at. And when I've really done a really more conscious job of just hearing clients and feeling what they need to feel and me giving them information as it comes. In other words, not just throwing up information, really asking them questions like, so what kind of questions do you have about the process? And and then they tell me, I go, so what else? Like, what if you could just have a fly on the wall and you wanted to ask one or two questions and not feel dumb about it? Like, what could I help you that would make you feel a little bit more at ease? And just really started taking the time to really listening to people and guiding them. And whether they were ready or not, I have no attachment to that. If they wanted to use me, I have no attachment to it. So the biggest thing it's allowed me to do is to not take everybody so seriously and so personal, and just make sure that I provided a service that was of value, and then let that client decide whether or not the value I gave fits their need. That's been the biggest thing for me.
It's interesting that you say that, because for me, one of my biggest fears in terms of business is probably the fear of rejection,
Yeah.
right? The idea that I'm going to say something, I'm going to offend somebody, or they're not going to use me as their realtor. They're going to start and then stop. That's a big concern. But you mentioned something a few minutes ago that I've also learned applies to our business lives, and that's just gratitude. The opportunity. Yeah. I'm just grateful for the opportunity that I have an opportunity to work, that there are people out there that I can work with as clients, and that I have some amazing vendors like yourself. Yeah. If you're looking to purchase a house or refinance a house, or just have some questions about the lending process, Albert's information is here on the screen. Please go ahead and give him a call. By the time we put this online, interest rates are going to change. I will tell you that it's something I always tell my buyers is, you don't buy a house with an interest rate. You're not paying your mortgage with a percent. You're paying it with $1. So it's not just about points and percentages. And I really encourage you as a consumer to really get a true understanding of what the mortgage business is about, your loan. And Albert has great insight obviously to the mortgage industry. There was a little piece here. We were talking about loans, and you mentioned that there are still people out there that think they need 20% down. But you created a video that talks about that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I just got a call, literally, I probably get calls, I'm going to say 2 to 3 times a week, of people, borrowers, that have this misconception that they need 20% down. And it's interesting. I've been in the business 15 years and I still get the question. And the answer is, the real answer is, no, you don't need 20% down. There are 2 programs. You can do a conventional program, 3% or 5% down. Yeah. As long as your credit's over 700. And if your credit score is below 700, FHA offers 3.5% down. And so, yes. And if you're a VA veteran, right, it's 0 down. Yeah. So, and your credit score has just got to be at least a 620 or above. So there are programs out there. And so the question is, Albert, do I need 20% down? No, you don't. There are programs out there. So please, please, please talk to your local lender, reach out to them, find out what's available for you, because you may be on hold thinking you need 20% down when you can actually buy today if you called somebody.
That's right. Okay. Terrific. Well, thanks very much. And you did a video. Where's that video at, on Facebook?
Yeah, it's on Facebook. I'll send it to you. It's on. Actually, I have a business page. It's Albert Chavez on there, but I'll send that to you as well.
I'll put it in the comment section so people can find it.
Yeah, but I'll send them to you. That way you have them. You can see what I'm looking at. But I did one on 20% down, did one on credit. And people, the myth that if you get your credit pulled, your credit's going to drop. That's completely false. So I'll send you a couple I did, and yeah, let me know what you think.
Do you have anything else you'd like to share about your business?
No, just one more thing. You asked me one more thing about change and shift. I did mention that the biggest also shift the change is I grew a beard. I've never grew a beard in my life. So, so the funny thing is, Ray, the story behind that is, so I have Native American and I have no hair on my body. Right. Oh. So I didn't know I can grow a beard. Like, seriously. So back when COVID happened, right, the biggest thing with COVID that helped me in my business is I was like, I let it go on. I'm like, wow, that looks kind of nice. And it's kind of scruffy. And the next thing you know, like, this is like a 6-month beard, as much as I can grow. But yeah, so not only changed my mind, body, soul, I changed my facial hair to where now I look way different, I think, because now I have a beard.
You have on your, I think it's your LinkedIn account. You have an old picture. Yeah. It's either Twitter or LinkedIn. Yeah, but it's nice. It's a very professional photo, but you have no facial hair. And I completely forgot that you didn't have a beard before.
Yeah. So no, that's, the business is, I'll just tell people right now, as far as businesses, in all seriousness, our business is going through a lot of changes right now. COVID really impacted our industry because, back in 06, 07, when all the foreclosures and forbearance happening, our industry is really protective of that, which I'm very proud of. Back then they weren't. And what's happening now is we're filling people. Lending guidelines are changing every day right now. So my biggest advice is get pre-approved by somebody. It could be me, it's no worries, or anybody else. But make sure, if you're looking for houses especially, and you're in a 2-month limbo, make sure you get pre-approved every 30 days. Because the guidelines are changing so fast with self-employed borrowers, especially W-2 borrowers, because people have been laid off, they've been furloughed, and they've get hours cut, and that will affect your eligibility. So my biggest just kind of pet peeve right now is for people, regardless you've been pre-approved with, if it's been more than a month, get pre-approved again, because stuff is changing on the fly right now.
Actually, that just happened to me. Had a buyer who came in with their own lender, and she got a change at work.
Yep.
And it caused a delay in getting her loan. And it wasn't a negative change.
But it was a change.
But it was a change. It's not like she lost her job or she got a pay cut or anything like that. But there was a change and it delayed closing. So absolutely, every 30 days is a great idea. Yeah. Albert, thank you so much for joining us. My name's Ray Fuentes. I'm the Red Shoe Broker. You can reach me at 916-919-1377. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and YouTube. Broker Ray out.